Arjun. Now it's time to move on to the next, and the next topic is mathematics and poetry. For that, would like to welcome to the dais Dr. Ramjee Repaka from Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar. Let's welcome Dr. Ramjee. Would like to request you, please have a round of applause and let's welcome. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, welcome you all to this August gathering, and then very nice deliberations are going on. So, just to keep you everything from the boring somewhat, if somebody says mathematics, it's sort of boring for the normal layman who is not a mathematician. So, just I'm trying to bring something which is mathematics and poetry, something deviate from what you have been seeing from the last few hours. Sorry. So I will invoke this with Srinivas Iyengar Ramanujan aphorism. A statement, an equation has no meaning for me unless it expresses a thought of God. So not only this, if you see the Vedic ancient Indian culture, and if you see that everything is depending on an anchoring point, so where you see that the mathematics also played an important role in that. And it has been, understood, and even he has realized that something, God needs to be invoked every time. And the most distinct and beautiful statement of any truth must take at last the mathematical form. So this was told by the American essayist poet, the Henry David, and few more. So what, after all, is mathematics but the poetry of the mind? And what is poetry but the mathematics of the heart? So it was told by David Eugen, an American mathematician and educator, and a mathematician who is not at the same time something of a poet will never be a full mathematician. Of course, no offenses to any mathematicians here. And this was told by German mathematician Karl. Well, if you see, just I said in the starting of my presentation, something different from what you have been seeing from the start of the day. So if you see how you can express everything, as engineers and the scientists, so if you wanted to express some physical aspect to make understand everyone, including mathematicians, you try to represent that in form of equations. So equations are better understood by anyone if they have the basic knowledge of that. So this is how, if you see, a person can have an infinite love if his ego is tending towards 0. And this is the classical one, the limit tending to delta x tending to 0, then anything, the curved line becomes a straight line. So from that only it has been derived. And is Kaz Maslanka, he has told, an engineer and a mathematical poet. He is basically an engineer. So a crude translation in case you have forgotten your limits, what it says, the love becomes infinite as the ego becomes 0 or vanishes. And another mathematician, he is an ex-professor of mathematics at Georgetown University, Washington, Professor Ray Bobo. He says, give me an epsilon and I will treat it well. So what it says, if you see, x is equal to phi is within the brackets, and then there is an epsilon which he has told, give me the epsilon, and then x plus y tends to infinity. Of course, it's very vague and then very dry to see, but he has given the explanation. Please hold your breath. And here it says, so found alone and wanting, I now languish, unbegun. So it has not yet started. And it says, to have your arms about me, be transformed into the one. So this is the meaning for the first two lines of mathematics representation, and says, closeness for our angels, he is returned with an embrace. And so that by incorporation, we can soar to loving space. So it says, just now we had a presentation by earlier speaker about the infinity. So this infinity really goes to what extent? There is no limit for that. And in meaningful, in asking all, amen. So this was told by, if you see how you are representing the mathematics, but you see at the end, if you are coming out with 0 ego, then it will be really infinite love. And there was a small treatise, small stanzas, 3 stanzas wrote by the Frederick Soddy. He is a fellow of Royal Society and Nobel laureate in chemistry. He's not an engineer, but he's a chemist, but he has wrote nice paragraph. I'm showing you what it is, keeping the time in view. For pairs of lips to kiss maybe involves no trigonometry. This not so when 4 circles kiss. Well, each one the other 3. What it says, this is what? Not the romantic love, it's only the mathematics love, the love for mathematics. Well, and it says to bring this off, the 4 must be as 3 in 1 or 1 in 3. So 3 in 1 or 1 in 3, it comes out, so 1 in 3. So this is what? 1 in 3. And in 1 in 3, beyond a doubt, each gets 3 kisses from without. If they're in 1, then is that one 3 kissed internally. So if you see, these 3 are getting kissed internally. This is what the kissing means here, nothing else. So 4 circles to the kissing come, the smaller are the bender. The bend is just the inverse of the distance from the center. So what it is being mentioned in the mathematics, you see, the bend is basically inverse of the radius of each circle. And it is being denoted by B1, B2, B3, B4, and then R1, R2, R3, R4 respectively. And though their intrigue left Euclid dumb, and there's now no need for rule of thumb, since 0 bends a dead straight line and concave bends have minus sign. So basically they are trying to draw a tangent for all these 3 circles, and they are trying to find another circle. The sum of the squares of all 4 bends is half the square of their sum. So what is it? So this is what? Sum of the squares of all these 4 bends. 4 bends are basically inverse of the respective radii, and then it is giving you half of the sum of the bends and its square. And the third one says, to spy out spherical affairs, an oscular surveyor, basically oscular means it's about kisses, and might find the task laborious. The sphere is much the gear, and now besides the pair of pairs, a 5th sphere in the kissing shares. What is the 5th sphere? If you see 1, 2, 3, the big circle, the 4th, and then in between the circle represented by the red color is the 5th sphere. So what it says, a 5th sphere in the kissing shares, yet signs and 0 as before, for each to kiss the other 4, the square of the sum of all 5 bends is thrice the sum of the squares. This is what? The square of all the 5 bends is 1/3 of the sum of the bends, which is square. So this was told by Frederick Soddy, and it is about the Vincent Millay, and actually she is an American poet and playwright, and then she got the Pulitzer Prize winner in the year 1923. It says Euclid alone has looked on beauty bare, and of course really time is running out. Just I will try to read few points. What it says, let geese gabble and hiss, but heroes seek release from dusty bondage into luminous air. Oh, blinding hour, oh, holy, the terrible day. The holy, terrible day is actually reflecting into the day on which that Jesus Christ is being slayed on. Well, whole light anatomized, Euclid alone has looked on beauty bare. So he is seeing, actually this is representing actually the trigonometry, the area in which you are trying to make a trigonometry. Fortunate they who, though once only had them but far away, have heard her massive sandals set untuned. So this is being told about the nature. And the last one, the Pi is a mathematician and poet. He says about the imaginary numbers. So he says a real life ends but is imagined by those left behind. And imagined death comes reality. So death is the real one, eventually, of course. And the square root of -1 can't exist since the squared number can't be negative. But imaginary numbers yield real answers in the real world. So whatever the imaginary things which we see in mathematics, they have some reflection to your real life. And imagination, a false oasis that burns, shimmers and melts away before my eyes. When you keep on walking over the deserts, in the far you see there is water body. It's oasis. But when you go near, it got shimmed away. So there is nothing like there is a water body. So this is what it says, this is the reality in our life. Yeah. And I thank, and then with deep sense of gratitude, and then I give my acknowledgements to Dr. T.D. Singh. He is my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami. And also, it was inspired by one of my god brother, Mr. Varun Agrawal, the Brajendra Kumar Das. So that is why I could start this thing. Thank you very much for your patience.